Good, good.
Yeah. You want to get up.
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 You want to
You want to get up. You want to get up.
You want to get up.
From the locker room, NTW presents NSU Jams with your host, a 5'10 senior out of Tallahassee, Florida, Jeff Young. And at center, 6'4 senior out of Lockport, Louisiana, Andy Simoncelli. Welcome to the second edition of NSU Jams. I'm your host, Jeff Young, and alongside me is my co-host, Andy Simoncelli. And joining us in the studio today is head coach of the men's baseball team, head coach Mike Knight, who is also Nicholls State athletic director. Coach, we want to thank you for taking your time out to join us today. I know it's kind of a short notice, but you're here in the studio, and we're going to put you on the spot and ask you some questions. And now what we'd like to do is open up with last Thursday's, I guess, loss to Northeast Louisiana, 106-103 in overtime here in Stouffer Gym on the campus of Nicholls State. And what we'd like to do is kind of throw it to my co-host here, Andy, and get the question started with Mike Knight here.
Well, Jeff, first of all, you see I'm black attire because Nicholls lost on Big Thursday, the biggest game of the career, and they lost. And also, Nicholls baseball team unfortunately lost 2 games this weekend to Tulane. But that's behind us now. Let's talk to Coach Knight about being athletic director. And of course, starting off Nicholls basketball team, the attendance was rising a lot, and you had to do something different about ticket sales. Can you explain that to us?
Well, what we had to do, Andy, was, we were looking at some probable or possible sellouts, for a while. And so what we tried to do was we wanted to maximize letting the students in as much as we could, and everything. So see if when, students could just come to the door that night and get in with their IDs. What we had to do was ask that the students come in and pick up their tickets beforehand. And what they had is from Wednesday at 2 o'clock, which is the day before a ball game, and everything, to come in and pick up their things. To pick up the tickets, so then we'd know what to do and go out and try to sell them and everything to the general public, so we could try to get a sellout on, on the thing. And we had some great attendance, especially the Thursday night against Northeast.
Now, do you feel, Coach, that this will be something that continues even, say, past this season, even depending on how the team does?
It could very well happen. Again, Stouffer Gym's very limited. I think our capacity in there is about 28,000 with the seating, and we don't really have that much seating in there right now. But, and again, I guess the good positive side of that is that Ricky and the basketball team is having a lot of success. So, and he doesn't really lose a lot of players this year. So hopefully this will go into next year.
Right, all the players are juniors, so we figured next year we should just take the conference out,
maybe
right?
so.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, let's kind of switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about the baseball now. Your season started, was it 2 weeks ago?
Right.
2 weeks ago, and you're 0-3 now, which is kind of starting out young team like we talked earlier. So can you kind of explain a little bit about where your team's coming from this year?
Well, as you and I were talking before the program here, this is probably the youngest club I've had here in a number of years, really, probably 10 or 12. And the reason being is that if you go back to the late 80s and the early 90s, we lost a lot of kids during that time. We went through, a lot of them went through the draft and everything like that. We had about 20 or 30 of them drafted during those 4 or 5 years in there. And what you're looking at is our recruiting class from 4 years ago right now that are actually redshirt juniors. And they hadn't played a lot yet, and everything. So this is a kind of a year we decided at that time to go back and build our club through the high school ranks rather than the junior colleges, And when you decide to do that, then it's going to take some time, And so what we did is we tried to go out and build it through the high school ranks and bring them in here. And of course, they've been young here lately. We've kind of went out and played the first 3 ball games. Our pitching has been fairly solid. Our defense has been average, I would say, but our hitting wasn't there. And anybody that knows anything about baseball knows hitting's probably the last thing that comes, because it's probably one of the toughest skills in any sport. And these guys have just got to get out there, and it's basically repetition and swinging the bat and doing those kind of things. And but we're showing some promise. The one good thing that came out of the 3 games is that I thought we got a little bit better, in each ball game. And I complimented them big time on their defense, in the the Sunday game against Tulane because we saw some very good double plays in that game and some things like that. And if they keep improving, then we should be there, you know, in a short period of time anyway.
Yeah, I know with Nicholls' basketball team doing so well, a lot of people are surprised that baseball season's already underway.
Well, yeah, we started pretty early, Andy. We get, in fact, we actually report in about 3 or 4 days before the students come back in January, you know, and start our preseason practice. And usually we open up around the 8th, 9th, or 10th of February every year, you know. And the reason we do that is we try to be able to play a game like we did against Loyola the first game, and then we get to practice 2 or 3 days and play another game, practice 2 or 3 days and get to play another. Because by the time you get to the 1st of March, then it's pretty well playing every day, you know. So you don't have a lot of times to work, you know, a lot of time to work on things in a practice situation. And so what we're trying to do now is just, like I said, get through these. We take the game, we evaluate where we are, come back, work on it 2 or 3 days, and then try to go out from there.
And this is a young season, though. We talked a little bit earlier about the program, 56 games. So kind of the first couple games, I guess, in the win-lose column, I guess don't mean as much now, say, as they do down the road when bids are coming out for tournaments and this and that.
Right, you know, and I think you know, you need to start off hot if you're looking at the the at-large bursts, you know, in the NCAA. But I think, you know, we kind of looked at it. We talked to the team about it this year before we went into the season. You know, we're so young. I think that was really an unrealistic goal. You know, so what we've kind of locked into is we play our first conference game 18 games into the year. You know, so we're going to use these 18 games to try to get better and get ready for the conference play. And you know, hopefully we can go out and finish in the top 4 in our conference, and that way we can go to the tournament and then try to win that to go to the NCAAs.
Well, Coach, we appreciate it, and tell us a little bit about the upcoming opponents this weekend.
Well, we've got Belhaven coming in, who's a very good NAIA school. You know, they're coming in here Friday and Saturday. It'll be a 2 o'clock ball game both days here at Ray DDA. And, you know, like I said, they swing the sticks. They do a good job. And I understand, because I just talked to the coach this morning, they got a pretty good pitching staff, which kind of scares me a little bit. Usually that's where we beat them, you know, and everything. But they, you know, like I said, this guy does a good job up there. You know, he really does. And there'll be some good baseball. And looks like we're going to have some great weather, so it'll be a good time to come out to the ballpark with the basketball team out of town this weekend.
Well, that's great. Well, that's great.
Well, Coach, before you leave, would you like our guests to have a little shot, the little go up there? Coach Broussard is 0 for 1.
Yeah, Coach Broussard 0 for 1, so Mike Knight doesn't shoot that many hoops, is going to take a shot at it right here.
Well, I never was real good on the set shot. Anyway, I had to
One shot for good luck.
Oh, in and out. He was closer than Broussard, though, because Broussard didn't even hit anything. So I know he's going to give Broussard a hard time about that. But we'd like to thank again Coach Mike Knight, who took the time out this morning to talk a little bit about basketball, but really about his baseball team. We're really excited about them, 0-3, but they look to be improving, and they play this weekend. Belhaven comes to town, so if you can, check out the games. And Coach, I want to appreciate it again, and good luck on the season. And I'm sure by the end of this the semester we'll have you back, and you'll be in that win column there.
Would enjoy it.
Okay. And folks, we'd like to take a look right now at some of the upcoming opponents that the Nicholls State men's basketball team has for this weekend. And welcome back to NSU Jams. I'm your host, Jeff Young, and alongside me is still Andy Simoncelli. And Andy, Mike Knight just talked a little bit about baseball. Now I want to get back to the basketball. Last week's loss to Northeast, 106-103 in Stouffer Gym in front of a packed house. Ricky Broussard guaranteed us a win on the show, and I think we kind of maybe jinxed him a little bit, but that's later to come. So this weekend they play another tough opponent, Southwest Texas at Texas, who is tied with them, 9-4 in the conference. And Andy, I see this as a must-win situation for the Colonels.
Oh yes, Jeff. They're tied for second place. I think they're 2 games back from Northeast, so the conference championship is kind of out of it, but they can still have second place all to themselves if they win Saturday night.
And Southwest Texas has been playing some excellent ball. I think they were 10. I think they won 10 out of 11 their past 11 games. And going into Texas is always a tough place to play. And I think Broussard has to pump up his team and say, look, this is a must-win situation. Sort of like the game last week. So it kind of depends on how Northeast plays, if they win or lose, and that this and that. But the rest of the many games, it's kind of we have to win.
Yeah, but also Nicholls has a game tonight though in Texas.
That's right.
So I'm sure Broussard say, look, go to the first game first and think about the future later. But then they have a game next Tuesday night in Stouffer Gym, so many of y'all can go out there and watch it.
Yeah, it'll be next Tuesday night We won't have a chance to air our show before that, so we want to remind you next Tuesday night against Sam Houston. I think the tip-off 7:45
for the men's and 5 o'clock for the women.
Right. So we need all the support we can get out there.
And last Thursday, they played the Northeast Indians, as you all know, the big game for Nicholls, and they lost in overtime. But Jeff and I were out there, and we shot a little footage, and let's have a little tape here of the game last Thursday against the Northeast Indians in Stoford Gym. Big Thursday.
Big Thursday.
The Colonels, I'm sorry, getting all fired up for the game. And here's the start of the game. You see the Indians really came out strong. Oh,
that was pretty much inside all game, Andy. They were working it inside.
And this Colonel's coming back, and the fans are going crazy. A packed house, pretty crowded. Not sure the attendance. The cheerleaders getting the crowd fired up. And here you see the Colonels come back. This is after halftime now. They came back after halftime really fired up. I'm not sure what Broussard told them, but.
And we had an 8-point lead, Andy. About 5 minutes left in the game, and we couldn't seem to put it together here. Another shot of the fans in front of a packed house in Stoford Gym.
Then you see Broussard
always fired up. Always fired up. Nice passing. Look at this. That's Gerard King, who I think had 32 points on the game, Andy. Here we go, getting a little
getting a little push and shove there. And after a while, I found the refs really took over the game, and there's a lot of calls and slowed the game down. And here we go, start the overtime period. The Colonels win the tip-off, and that's about the only highlight the Colonels had in the overtime period.
And Andy, I thought going into overtime that the Colonels really would pull out the victory. It seemed like they had the momentum, but Northeast Louisiana came out fired up, and they just
won the
took
game
it to
to the
us.
foul line, as you see there. And then you see the Indian bench getting fired up as they know the victory is in hand, and they have first place all to themselves. And there's the packed house at Stoford Gym, heading to the doors.
Heading to the doors, huh? So that was a little bit about last Thursday's game in Northeastern. And again, they played tonight and Saturday night at Sam Houston, or actually Southwest Texas. So, and we kind of compiled a few reasons, I guess we should say, why we actually lost on Big Thursday. Thanks, Towel Boy.
Once again, folks, Towel Boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know many of you are wondering why did Nicholls lose to Northeast on Thursday. 5 reasons why. Nicholls
The top 5.
Top 5 reasons they lost on Big Thursday. Number 5, the players were too busy planning their Mardi Gras festivities. Number 4, the Northeast coach looked like Jeff Gillooly.
Why me? Why me?
Reasons the Colonels lost. Number 3, I think the average age of the Northeast Indian is like 37, Jeff.
I swear I saw one guy with a beard playing out there. This guy was like
Really old players.
Old.
Number 2 reason Nicholls lost to Northeast on Big Thursday. Each official failed an eye exam before the game.
You know, Andy, I was at that game, and I want to tell you, I don't think I've ever, maybe I'm partial. I mean, I was sitting in the front row in the press. I've never seen worse officiating. Oh, terrible.
But that's
terrible.
Number 1 reason Nicholls lost on Big Thursday. The first ever NSU Jams jinx was witnessed.
Yeah, and I think that's true because remember when we had Bruce on the show, I said, Coach, are you going to guarantee? And he said, I guarantee a victory. And I think the only person that really can guarantee a victory is Jimmy Johnson, the Dallas Cowboys.
That's obvious.
So obvious, you know, Dallas Super Bowl. Anyways, so.
We're about out of time, Jeff. And
are we about out of time on this big edition of another Big Thursday? So it's my turn to shoot?
It's your turn to shoot.
As you know, folks, here's what we're doing. We started this last week. We're taking shots at this little goal right up here, and we're keeping track. Now, the person who loses at the end of the semester has to appear on this show in a dress. And I'm already down 1 shot. So we want to tell everybody out there that Andy's winning by 1. And
I've seen Jeff hold the holidays over here.
I want to tell you again, I will never wear a dress on this show. So let me get up behind the line here, and I'm fixing to drain one real quick. And put Andy in his place real quick, and
try to even the score.
Trying to even it out a little bit. Okay. Arch the back, bend the knees. On the wrist, Andy.
The wrist?
On the wrist.
Oh!
I was robbed. I was robbed.
The ball gets away from us there a little bit.
And one of our in-studio guests is going to there.
Mind stepping back, Jeff?
All right, Andy, hurry up because we got to wrap this stuff up now. Let's go ahead and shoot and miss so I can...
Here we go for 2-0.
2-0. Oh, and it's not meant to be, folks. And we're out of time here on the second edition of NSU Jams. We want to thank again Mike Knight and Andy, my co-host, for all his great insight. Folks, this is a show 15 minutes guaranteed or less, all the sports you can find. Join us next Thursday as we will hope to have some players and some more interviews. Thanks again.
get up?
Yeah. You want to get up?
Yeah. Yeah. You want to get up? Yeah.
You want to get up?
You want to get up? Yeah.
You want to
You want to get up? Yeah. You want to get up?
You want to get up?
From the locker room, NTW presents NSU Jams with your host, a 5'10 senior out of Tallahassee, Florida, Jeff Young. And at center, 6'4 senior out of Lockport, Louisiana, Andy Simoncelli. Welcome to this edition of NSU Jams. I'm your host, Jeff Young, and alongside me, as always, Andy Simoncelli. And today we have two very special guests, the big men for the Nicholls State Colonel basketball team, Gerard King and Reggie Jackson. Fellas, we want to thank you for taking your time out to join us today. I know you got a big game tonight, but we'll get to that later. And I think Andy would want to start off the questions here.
Yeah, I want to talk about early on in the season. I mean, you guys 5-0 in the conference, 9-game winning streak. I mean, you really started off fast. Did that surprise you, that fast start? Either one you can start.
Well, we were just playing together and playing hard, and it really didn't surprise us because I knew that we had real good talent this year. But I think we surprised a lot of people, and we just did great. Started off great.
George, did that surprise you at all? I mean,
No.
coming back into the season?
No, it didn't surprise me at all. If anything, toward the end of the season, I'm kind of disappointed because I thought we'd go through the conference pretty easily, without losing any games, so I wasn't surprised at all.
And for you also coming back, I know last year you sat out, I think, with an injury, and you're coming back this season. I mean, this has got to be kind of the beginning of the season, kind of sweet for you, sitting out last season and coming and really contributing to the team as you did this season.
Right, it was kind of hard adjusting, because we haven't, our starting five haven't really played together, much until this year. And then, last year Reggie was like the main go-to guy, and this year we have like 5 or 6 players that can really contribute.
Yeah, I want to talk about, I don't want to call it a slump, but recently you haven't won as many as early on in the season. Do you find you had your best ball early on in the season, or do you feel you're playing your best ball now, just you can you're not winning the big games?
I think that we just need to play harder and play together as a team and play better on defense, and I think that's the keys. And we're not really playing with any intensity later on in the season.
Yeah, and I've talked to Bruce on it. He said that a couple of times. The intensity is not there. I guess maybe, I don't know if it's a letdown, but starting out 5-0 in the conference, then losing a couple, and then coming back playing strong ball, and now losing a couple again. Going into the tournament, we still have 3 home games left. So do you feel like these 3 home games are a must-win, and you have to win to get that momentum to go into the tournament, Gerard?
I think it'll help on the momentum, but I also think it'll help for our fans. We don't want our fans to think we're giving up and we're not playing hard like we're supposed to. I think we win these 3 games, we will have the momentum going, and I think we'll do well in the tournament.
That's another good point. The fans, I know that the ticket sales are just incredible, and I was talking to Reggie before the show, and all the starting 5 are juniors. So next year, you look to have a strong team, all seniors and this and that, and then you two will be in the middle again. Do you feel that the team has gone to you enough this season? Do you feel like you want the ball enough inside to get those easy baskets, Reggie?
Well, I think teams have been playing us zone to stop me and Gerard, and it's been tough at times, but when they play man-to-man, I don't think no team could stop us. And
that's what Broussard said also, Andy. A lot of zone playing, a lot of kicking inside and then kicking back out for the perimeter shot.
I'll tell you guys a little bit about trash talking. I noticed in the Northeast game, there's a lot of talking on the court. After each basket was made, there's a lot of talking. Does that bother you guys? Does it fire you up?
Well, that game, it was like you said, it was a real big game. Everybody, we were really pumped up. We wanted to win. I think that was the biggest game of the season for us, because if we would have won that game, we would have been in first place, And I think that game really had everybody pumped up, so that's why a lot of trash talking was done.
And you guys feel that the team is playing together more now as a unit? I know that Coach Broussard has kind of mixed up the starting rotation there a little bit, and I think he went back in the North Texas game, or Texas-Arlington, to the set 5. So does that help you guys out knowing who is going to be on the floor, when you start the game and pump you guys up? Maybe not.
Well, I feel that at first we had good chemistry going, and then Rand, Bud, and Demond came joined us with the team, and I think that we just need to play better as a team.
Yeah, the chemistry maybe is not there and stuff like. You feel sometimes people are being selfish. I mean, basketball is a really unselfish sport. I mean, there might be one or two players that dominate, but down the stretch, you have to look for the pass and assist and this and that. Do you feel some players are trying maybe a little bit too much to carry the team on their shoulders?
I don't think nobody's playing selfish. I think sometimes, guys want to, like when we get down by 5 or 7 points, I think guys try a little too hard to score, when we really don't need a basket. But overall, I don't think nobody on the team plays selfish.
So you guys still confident that you can go to the up to Monroe, which Northeast will probably win the tournament? I mean, not the tournament, I'm sorry. They'll probably win the conference. But do you guys feel confident you can go up to Monroe and take the tournament?
Oh, yeah. Definitely think that.
I mean, you've already gone up there once this season, beat them in their home gym, and you can maybe look at the season. I mean, if y'all went in the top seed, the pressure would be on y'all. But now looking at it, the pressure's on Northeast. They're playing in their hometown, their home building. They're probably going to win the conference, but the tournament's a different story. Anybody can win the tournament, and I mean, I think that might be a little bit advantage, to you guys, because I mean, you guys are confident, and everybody else is confident that we can. We have the best ball club, in the conference, and I think maybe when we get to the tournament, we'll show everybody that. So. We look forward to that. I know you guys look forward to that, and look forward to the big game tonight. Another big Thursday on campus here, and everybody looks forward to that. What are some keys tonight against Stephen F?
Well, I think our biggest key is just to play hard on defense. If we play hard on defense and press real well, we'll beat them convincingly.
Reggie?
It's the same as Gerard. Just play hard on defense, play together as a team, and that's about it.
Well, listen, guys, we're behind you all the way. We want to thank you for the time, but we do have one more thing that y'all have to do. I know y'all have to shoot basketball. Guests here. 7 days a week and all that stuff, but pressure's on now. Let's set it up a little bit here. They're both about 62% free throw shooters. Okay, we did a little research. We know the stats here, so I guess bragging rights is in order. So if Reggie makes it and Gerard doesn't, or vice versa, because Broussard already missed it, so that's kind of out. But both 62% free throw. The goal's right here. Reggie, fire away. Oh! The stroke. All right. He's sitting a little bit closer now. He can probably dunk it. Oh! All right, so that's Reggie 1, Gerard 0. But we probably will have them back on the show after the tournament. And again, we'd like to thank them and taking the time out. Guys, tonight we wish you all luck in the world. We'll be there cheering for you, and especially in the tournament. So thanks again, and we'll see you guys maybe next time on NSU Jams. All right? Thanks again. Folks, we want to take a look at the upcoming opponents for the Nicholls State basketball team.
Jump around. Jump up and get down.
And welcome back to NSU Jams. Gerard King and Reggie Jackson just left the studio to get ready for their big game, Andy, tonight. We want to thank them again for joining us. But now, we still want to talk about basketball a little bit?
No, let's go to the other Nicholls sports.
All right.
Let's be fair here. I got here the men's baseball, softball, and tennis team stats here. Baseball team travels to Northeast tonight for a tournament. They're 5-1. That's the women's softball team, by the way. The men's baseball team travels to Jackson State this weekend. They're 2-5. They lost last night 9-6 to Tulane.
But improving. Remember, we had Mike Knight on here, and it's a young team, so we look for bigger and better things down the road from them.
That's right, Jeff. And the women's tennis team is 0-2. They go to West Florida this week for a tournament.
My hometown of West Florida. Actually, not my hometown, but I'm from Tallahassee, so I just got to get that plug in there. But I hope they do well anyways. So now we'd like to, that's our resident towel boy. Thank you, towel boy.
Towel boy once again.
Towel boy, Eric.
Give us our top 5 list from Baker, Louisiana. Top 5 reasons Kevin Burtis escaped from jail.
Now, if you don't know who Kevin Burtis is, we just need to tell you now, he's the guy that had the big manhunt in Thibodeau. Everybody was, he escaped convict.
Escaped from jail twice in the past 2 months.
2 months.
3 months about.
So.
And he vows to do it again. But here's 5 reasons why he escaped. And number 5, he wanted to impress his girlfriend, Tanya Harding.
Ooh. And Matt, speaking of Tanya Harding, she skated last night. Not very well. Not that well. I think she maybe took a little whack in the knee there before the competition.
Number 4, 1 and 2, save taxpayers' money.
Which,
Well, you know, that's good of him. You know?
yeah, that's kind of.
Number 3 reason Kevin Burtis escaped from jail. In-prison movie was Blue Chips. Jeff, you saw Blue Chips?
No, I haven't seen it yet, but
Not a very good movie.
not a very good movie.
I think Reggie Jackson can act better than Shaquille O'Neal. Not very good. Number 2 reason, wanted to steal a copy of this month's Playboy featuring Shannon Doherty.
Weren't you supposed to bring a copy of that to?
To my car.
All right, we'll take a look at that. Not very.
You see more flesh in NYPD Blue. Number 1 reason Kevin Burtis escaped from jail. Cellmate wouldn't let him watch NSU Jams.
That is the number 1 reason. I tell you what, probably have more inmates escaping because they don't have NSU Jams
Kevin
on
Burtis
there.
is a big fan of ours.
Yeah.
Big fan.
And especially after that top 5, he will be. Definitely.
About that time, Jeff.
By that time, we got to shoot it up now? All right, folks. Now, let me fill you in again on what we're doing every week here in NSU Jams. We have a little basketball goal up here that Reggie and Gerard set out. And Gerard hit, Reggie hit nothing but net on that. So I'm going to have to step up and equal that task. But Andy is ahead of me 1-0, and I guess the gimmick is that who's ever losing at the end of the shows has to wear a dress.
It's the dress for success
Dress
shot of the day.
for success shot of the
See
day.
right there, I am up on Jeff 1-0.
So I'm going to come back here and take my spot behind the camera here and get up. Maybe I'm not arching my back, I don't know. But I'm going to sink one right here to tie it up. Don't try to block it either. You ready? Oh!
A valiant effort, Jeff.
So close, but yet so far. All right. Andy, step up here and see if you can put me in the hole 2-0 here. Your mic's going to ring. There you go.
That looks real
Don't
good.
try to cheat. Don't try to cheat.
That looks real attractive. Okay, here we go for 2-0.
Oh, in and out, folks, and I'll take that any day, let me tell you. Folks, I guess that's going to do it for this edition of NSU Jams. We, again, like to thank Reggie and Gerard. We want to remind everybody tonight, tip-off is set for 7:45 in Stouffer Gym. We need all the fans we can get. We have 3 home games remaining, and then we go to the conference tournament in Northeast Louisiana in Monroe. So we'd like to thank our guests again, our production crew, and everybody else who's helped out on the show. Join us next week as we have 15 minutes guaranteed of Nicholls Sports. Thanks again.